It was actually my granddad and my grandma used to race tandem on the track. And my granddad actually built bamboo wheels.
Wow.
Which was pretty incredible. That's when carbon wasn't even thought of then.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ironic that my granddad used to do that, and then I went into the wheel business, but I was making carbon wheels and aerodynamics and Formula One and bringing all that kind of technology into the bike industry.
Welcome to Earthy, where eco-loving meets adventure living. Here you'll enjoy stories from people living lives based on what they love. If you're sick of depressing news, you're in the right place. Earthy is designed to inspire and teach you about sustainability, earth-friendly lifestyles, travel, and well-being. Your host is an adventure and lifestyle author, Shannon McGivney.
Her tenacity and her grit, and how she's able to take those two things and compound them with her passion. She's basically unstoppable. It's incredibly impressive to watch and learn about her journey. Miss Beverly Lucas is the founder of Knight Composites, which has revolutionized cycling worldwide. More recently, she founded Outdoor City USA, which is a multi-sport festival that we're going to be talking about more here in this podcast. Beverly, I'm so glad to have you on. Let's get right to it.
Between me and my twin, one of us was going to be in the bike industry.
Did you guys fight over it?
No, not at all. My sister discovered boys at 16 and didn't want anything more to do with cycling.
Okay.
And I could care less. All I wanted was to ride my bike, and that was it. Like I say, we started racing when we were both 8. And I didn't stop racing until I was about 28. So I've been all over the world with it and been super fortunate, and ended up here in Bend. And
I looked up, I stalked you on online, and I read a lot of what you've done and accomplished on LinkedIn.
Right.
And I'm trying to connect the dots.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this, and first of all, it's impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, lots of stuff. You're a busy lady.
Yeah.
Second of all, I mean, your experience spans country. I mean, you have Australia, Switzerland, Oregon, Utah, Irvine, Phoenix, the UK. I mean, you've been
you
all
really have stoned me.
I really did. I stalked you thoroughly. I mean, LinkedIn, though, not like anything crazy. Okay, but walk me down your career path. How did you make it to where you are today?
In 2010-11. So I worked with a really, really good wheel company called Knight Composites.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fortunate enough to telecommute for a few years, but to be honest with you, in 2010 we lost everything here with the economic downturn, understatement. So Envy, who I was working for at the time, they went, well, that's really sad, but yay, that means you can come over to Ogden. We'll rent you a house, and they did, and they were absolutely fabulous with me and my family at the time after what happened. But what I saw in Ogden was the mayor, Mike Caldwell. I don't think he was mayor at that point, but he was something to do with business development. And I saw Mike at every trade show, bike or outdoor trade show that you could possibly think of. And he was going beating the bushes about what a great place Ogden was, basically. And so having watched him and watched, Ama Sports come in, the Salomons and the ski companies and the you name it, they were all coming to Salt Lake and Ogden to set up their US headquarters. And, it was kind of like banging my head against the desk saying, my God, that could be Bend. We've got as much as Ogden, if not more so. We've not got an international airport as close as Salt Lake, but Portland's right there. And, Redmond's getting bigger and so on. They said, hey, you could be Ogden. Mm-hmm. In my mind, no question, but you need to bring the industry to you to let people see you, as opposed to, not that I was accusing them of sitting on the laurels, but basically going, yeah, we know how fantastic Bend is to work and live, but everybody else in the world doesn't. Mm-hmm. And there's so much potential here for people to, particularly in my industry, in the bike industry, it's like, the single track that we've got and the roads that we've got and the gravel roads that we've got, which is super hot right now. It's the hottest thing in cycling. And I said we've got all this access and all this land and all these amazing mountains and scenery, and from a marketing and a product testing perspective, Bend has it all. And I genuinely feel that there's a lot of opportunity here for business. So that's what this bloody festival's all about.
Well, we're definitely going to talk about the festival. But really, I kind of want to learn a little bit more about your background. Like we were talking before I started hitting your record button, you know, where you're from and you know, how you were raised and basically what drove you towards these types of, you know, outlets.
You know, I came over, when did I come over to the States? 99, I think, something like that.
From where?
From the U of K.
Which part?
United Kingdom.
Yeah.
I came from Sheffield,
okay.
Which is, I still love it. I miss it a whole lot. Sheffield is in the north of England. Population about 750,000, something like that.
Okay.
It was renowned for cutlery back in the day, you know, and gardening shears and stuff like that, you know. And I think Sheffield is are really, really proud of that heritage, you know, and certainly I am. Half my family were in the steel industry for sure, but no, that's where I grew up. And I grew up again riding bikes and riding with my twin sister, and I have 2 stepbrothers who were only interested from the sidelines and passing them bottles and stuff like that. You know?
But you said every day it was like part of your regimen. It was school, homework, music, and bike. It was like a chore, like you have to check the box.
It was a chore sometimes. Sometimes it was the only way I could escape from the house. But no, my family took it really, really seriously. And so my great uncle was a pretty famous frame builder, Bob Jackson. And he was even, I mean, you can mention to the people who know you in the US, and people go, oh my God, that's your relative, wow, you know. My grandma was a racing cyclist. My granddad was a racing cyclist. That's how they met. They actually, I think they actually founded one of the oldest clubs in Sheffield, Hillsborough Wheelers. You know, the only other thing that Hillsborough's famous for is Sheffield Wednesday, which is still my team, soccer team.
So were your parents also really, you know, entrenched with the sport, or did it skip a generation?
No, it skipped a generation. Absolutely. You know, pushed me into time trial and all that good stuff. So.
Did you become a cyclist because you were a good girl and you were told to, or did you like immediately start to love it? How did that transition work where you chose it?
No, I think I always loved it. I mean, I always got a real kick out of watching my uncle and, you know, and watching my family race and whatever. But yeah, I think part of it, I think my mum and dad wanted my sister and I to be part of something cool, you know, and we weren't. And like, I was the worst. I couldn't catch a ball, throw a ball. I had no like hand-to-eye coordination. So I think cycling for me was that opportunity to get out and back in the day, you know, I mean, God, even at like 10, I remember going and riding out in the countryside around where I lived for all day, you know, and no issues with cars. We didn't wear helmets back then, but no, it was a great place to grow up and a great way to grow up. And you know, we'd go out on these club runs on a Saturday morning, and there'd be 50 kids on a club ride, you know, going out for the tea cake run and going and having beans on toast at the cafe and then riding back and stuff. But
how did it make you feel when you were riding? What are the things that made you constantly want to come back to it?
Absolute intense happiness on a bike, and I still have that now, even though I don't get out as much, you know. And it's just an opportunity to switch off, and you know, you don't have to worry about your studies or the teacher that you don't like at school or fighting with your sister or whatever, you know. But yeah, I think freedom more than anything, just getting out and clearing your head and smelling the roses a little bit, you know.
So you grew up in the UK, riding bikes a lot with your family being avid cyclists. When you came over to the States and in your adult life, how did cycling still maintain as a major part of your life and then part of your career?
Well, I came across here to work in the industry. I ended up working in a bike shop. I was a mechanic in a little shop in Glendale, just outside of Phoenix, and I just enjoyed it so much that I ended up staying there 18 months. I actually went to Interbike. That was my first Interbike. It was back in 1999. I was like a kid in a candy store, you know, and I'd be going and looking at bikes and looking at the lug work and see who did the best welds. God, there's this company called Felt Bicycles. You got the welds are amazing. You got to look at them. And they were made in America at the time, and they were making just these beautiful bikes. And I said, I think I love the story, and it's this guy Jim Felt and this guy Bill During, and I think we should pick the bikes up for the shop. I think they do really well. And so he did, and which was great for him for the bike side of things, but not so good because I got so embroiled in this company that I beat Bill During. He was the CEO. I beat his door down, asking for a job. And they were based then in Huntington Beach, California.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like you, I got the bug for the surf thing. And,
Yeah.
you know, I'm a 20-something blonde British gal, and I was like living the dream. You know, I was like, oh my God, I can surf every day, and I can ride my bike on PCH, and it's going to be amazing. I'm going to have this life, you know. And, you know, Bill kept writing back and going, stop bugging me. I have no job for you. And then finally, you know, it was good. It was kind of like, you know, I was writing for this newspaper called Tailwinds at the time, and so I got this article published, and I sent him that, you know, and I got a podium in a race. I sent him that, and it was almost like he became my dad, my surrogate dad. And I was like, hey, Dad, guess what I did this weekend?
Yeah.
But finally, I went over for a proper interview, and they gave me a job, which was basically like a jack of all trades. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was on the phone selling bikes in the morning, then shipping them in the afternoon, and you know, it was the funnest company ever to work for. And I shared a house with I think it was a Bianchi rep or something like that, but you know, it was just fab. You know, this British gal has landed in California of all places, you know, and I'm riding my bike, and I'm working for a bike company, and we're growing this company. And I think it's Bill During, honestly, who I have to thank for my desperate need to do stuff, to invent stuff, and to innovate, I guess, if you like.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of how he was. He was a really good businessman, and he wouldn't cut corners, and he did some really, really cool things. So that's how my career started, certainly here, and just kind of progressed from there, you know.
So did you use the building blocks that you observed in that job to do this?
Totally, yeah. But as far as, you know, learning the American way and learning to, you know, the kind of things that you needed to bring a product to market, and you know, manufacturing and all that good stuff, and, you know, cost analysis on products, and I mean, you name it, I learned it from him. And a lot of it was just listening and watching.
Yeah.
It's not like he sat me down at a desk and went, you do this, and then you do that. And then it was all kind of trial by fire and learning from experience. But no, Bill just gave, like I say, he just gave me this this notion that if I felt that there was a gap in the industry and I could fill it, then I could do it. You know,
What was that gap that led you to your product?
speed. I was a big Formula One fan back then. That's thanks to my dad. But I remember I got up to watch the Melbourne Grand Prix in Australia, and it was like 3 a.m. in the morning, and I watched Jenson Button, who's another Brit, come out onto the track. He's got this Fly V Australia logo, and I go, oh, hold on a second, we're sponsoring the Fly V Australia cycling team. And it was kind of like, oh my God, that's what we need. We need to bring Formula One aerodynamics to cycling. As an ex-boss once said to me, you've got bigger balls than most men I know. And I think it's just having the, you know, the wherewithal or the confidence to go out and do what you think is going to work. And there's a whole lot of crossing your fingers, you know, but I like to take calculated risks.
Yeah.
And so I fast forward to starting my own wheel company. I got a phone call from my co-founder, or then co-founder, and he said, I think we can make a faster wheel than MB. I go, that's big shoes to fill, mate, you know? And he goes, no, I think we can. I've got this guy, Kevin Kwan, and now Kevin Kwan was an aerodynamicist who worked for a company called Shimano, who made the fastest bike in the world, bar none. I mean, they held that for years. And he said, basically, Kevin Kwan's in, if you're in. And I was ready to come back to Bend, you know, for the kids getting older and all that good stuff. And I go, yeah, all right, we'll do it. When do you want to start? The only way to globalize something to make it successful is to have people ride it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I can tell you that, I mean, whether it was felt bicycles or MV Composites or Knight Composites, for me it was always, I know that if you ride this product, you're gonna buy it because it sells itself. I can give you all the marketing bump and all the numbers and the stats and the data and who's won on it and who's not and blah, blah, blah. I can give you all that. But you need to ride it to actually feel it and understand how different it is and how much better it is than everybody else's. And the hardest part is getting that person to be able to demo those wheels or that bike or whatever. And I guess having been to trade shows for the best part of 20 years, you can never do that at trade shows. All you can do is talk. And I think that's been lacking for so long in my career. Like, God, how do we get bums on seats, you know? And so this is where ultimately, you know, if you take what I know I needed as a brand builder and a product tester and a product manager, I knew that I needed people to ride my products. And for the EDCO element, EDCO and the region, they wanted people here to test bend, if you like. You know, and so bring everything together, and Outdoor Festival is a direct result of my frustration in not being able to really truly have people test my products at an event, and kind of, you know, how do we bring the industry to Central Oregon, and give them an audience, you know, the general public.
What made you decide to broaden it outside of the biking world? You've clearly been entrenched in the cycling world, so why did you open it up to multi-sport?
My family. So Bill, my other half, and I, we have 4 12 to 16-year-olds between us. She's 16 on Sunday. She's 15. Okay. Anyway, it's basically 4 teens in the family. And I sat him down on this very couch and was like, what do you like to do other than ride bikes? And, you know, knowing that they go to the rock gym, the Bend Rock Gym, and they climb, and they go and trail run, and they pretend they don't like hiking, but they really do once they get out there, once we kick them out the door. And I thought, you know, we need certainly more women, and not to say that all women are moms and whatever, but there's a lot of us that are moms, and I figured, you know, you never see women at these festivals and shows, or certainly not enough of us. I thought, okay, well, I'm a mom. It's 2 birds with 1 stone. So if I make something that's really kid-friendly and teen-friendly, it's not just bloody, you know, the foam ball pits and the, you know, make something that's interesting to teens as well, then that will bring more women, naturally. And why not make it a really fun family event where there's something for everybody? There are downhill races. The Cascade Classic Youth Foundation are putting on the balance bike. They have this absolutely amazing, they call it the Strider Adventure Zone, and it's like cones and little ramps for like 2 to 5-year-olds who are just learning to ride bikes, you know, the bikes with no pedals. So the kids start there. There's a family run and walk that little kids can get involved in. There's a climbing wall. The guys at Entreprise, who are based here in town, they make climbing walls for a living. So they're bringing this thing called the Crag Wagon, and it's, oh my God, my measurements aren't great, but it's 30 feet high, 60 feet wide, and it's basically, it's so big that it arrives on a semi-truck, and they basically flip the front up, and it's this climbing wall.
Wow.
It's incredible. There's coaching there, there's clinics there, there's belaying clinics, and 5K and 10K running trails, marked trails. There's a downhill race for kids and a downhill race for adults. Every race for 16 and under, so the youth element is free.
Wow.
So you bring your kids, it doesn't cost you a damn thing. We know as parents how much it costs to put kids through races and travel, and it's nail biting how expensive it is. But yeah, so every race is free for them. On the Saturday night there is a bit of an exhibition cyclocross race, which is basically where all the the top riders in the region come and do this fantastic, short, whippy, just super fast course that's basically all around where the expo centre is. There's actually a guy in town where I'm super fortunate to have on board, Brad Ross. He's the only guy in cyclocross outside of Bend who is renowned in Belgium and France and all these countries that are renowned for cyclocross, where it all started. And I actually called Brad Ross and I was like, so I'm thinking we do this crazy, pro style, short track kind of cyclocross race on a Saturday night for a big party. We'll get 10 Barrel to sponsor it, which they have. And
Wow.
I said, it'd be a really good party atmosphere. What do you think about putting it on? He's like, let's do it. so we're doing that, which will be great. The course itself wraps around this big expo. We've got about 50 companies showing up to demo their products and talk about what they do and whatever you. And the cross race goes around that.
That's cool.
It's going to be so cool. Sunday is a whole day of racing. Shimano, our friends at Shimano are, they've built or in the process of building an e-bike track. But the e-bike demo is going to be really fun. And because it is a little bit of a contentious issue right now, because there's certainly people who are very kind of like old school hardcore, pedal only. And then there's people who are not too sure of what's going on. They're kind of like, I really don't know what an e-bike is, and does it damage the environment, which is a big fat no, actually, because I've seen the data. And then there's people who are like already doing it and have been for 3 years or 5 years or whatever.
It's pretty big in this town, I think, for commuters.
Yeah, for commuters certainly, but whether it's mountain bike or city bikes or trekking bikes or whatever, it's definitely getting there. And for me, what I've seen, and certainly with my parents who are still riding bikes, my dad's 84, my mom's 80 this year. No, my dad's older than that, he's 87, but they're still riding bikes. Yeah. My dad needs a little bit extra help now, so for people like him who are still physically fit, but just needs a bit of help up the hills, it's brilliant for him. And I think for anybody, it's getting them outside, it's getting them on bikes, it's getting them off the couch. What's not to like?
Yeah, the whole like purist dogma stuff. I think people get a little caught up sometimes.
Oh, God, totally.
But I think when it can introduce more people to a new experience, a new sport, a new form of being healthy and getting away from all your technology and outside, I think that's a win all the way around. If you're not tramping on the environment, then I think it's a win.
Absolutely.
Okay, so for those that are interested in going to the Outdoor City USA in Ben's, the 13th through the 15th, what do we need to know? Where should they go for more information?
So we have a great website with all the information on it, outdoorcityusa.com. It's got registration open for all racers. And again, even if you've never raced before, there's something for you. Bring your kids. Again, 16 and unders are all free for everything. It's free to get in. We are supporting 2 non-profits that are really close to my heart for sure, and that's Central Oregon Trail Alliance and Oregon Adaptive Sports.
I love them.
I do too. Yeah, they're awesome. So check out their websites as well. I can't tell you the address, but they're out there. CODA.org and OAS.org maybe.
Yeah, Oregon Adaptive Sports.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, that's amazing. Well, I'm looking forward to going. I'll definitely be there. And
Good.
looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for sharing your
Absolutely.
story and your time and all your experience. It's very inspiring to listen
Thank
to
you
how you
very
bang
much.
down the doors and make things happen.
Well, somebody has to. It might as well be me. But no, thanks for coming and thanks for talking to me today. It's been fun.
Thanks for hanging with us. I hope you had a blast. If you know someone who would make a great guest on Earthy, or you'd like us to cover a specific topic, reach out at adventure-guru.org.